Okay, how do I hit mute?
Hey, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon.
Hi, Rachel. How are you?
Hi. I think a lot of us are stuck at the same place, Pamela.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like on the group, we when we need to divide, and somebody posted the trick, and I did not have a chance to try, but the way the pattern is written, we the yarn is not on the right spot for some reason, so.
Yeah, well, I think what you need to do, and we'll talk about that in a moment.
Yeah.
I think it's a very
Thanks.
simple little tweak to fix.
Oh. Good.
It's interesting how there are so many, let me put it on gallery here so we can see everybody. There's so many different ways to do things in knitting, and so, so many knitters and designers write things differently. Anyway, so how is everybody? So good to see everyone this afternoon. Is everybody here for the second time, or are there some of you that haven't been here before? Second time, yay. Cool. All right. Well, I think, that's the second time, Cheryl. That's fabulous. I think that's the cool thing about this is we're having 3 of them, so we have enough that we can, either watch the video or catch in on the second one and still catch up and do okay. For some of you, with show of hands, how many of you are knitting a sweater in the round for the first time? Oh, so a lot of you. Hold on, let me see the next page. Yeah, so a lot of you. Okay. And thumbs up, going pretty much okay? Okay, excellent. It's not as scary as you thought, right?
It's nice. It's just like to again, like I got stuck, but otherwise, it's very. I really like the knitting and around. And I'm looking forward not having to seam those stitches. So that's that's a plus.
Right. Well, I'm just going to wait a few more minutes, maybe, just to make sure everybody has a chance to get on and get settled. But we always start with this, it seems like. Maybe when it's summer, it won't matter so much, but it seems like there's been so much crazy weather all across the nation that does everybody have good weather where they're at?
It's very cold here.
Very cold, very cold.
Yes,
and
very
here is where?
Waukesha, Minnesota.
Oh yeah, you guys have really had it this year, haven't you? And even in the last few weeks or months. Yeah, a couple months. Yeah. Wow. Well,
we had a big storm the other day, but now it's in the 40s. So
oh my goodness.
fine.
So Karen, is the snow all gone?
Are you talking to me? Because I'm Alexis.
Oh, Alexis, I'm sorry. I thought it said Karen was talking.
Yeah, no, that's okay. It is gone pretty much. I mean, some is still on the ground, but like it all melted off my car and everything.
Wow. It's nuts. It's nuts. Well, as you know,
interesting.
Yeah. In a sense, I don't know. Do you like it? I kind of like the switch. You get a little bit of warmth, and then you get a little bit of hit of that cold.
I do like it because I don't like trying to dig us out of the snow. But
so just naturally you dig out.
But I'm a little afraid of what it means as far as climate change. So
exactly, as understandable. Yeah. Well, we can only solve knitting today. So we're gonna try to do that. So Cheryl, Rachel, I'm trying to look for names. I know.
I can say I'm not a fan of the bottom up sweater. I don't like having to deal with the front and then the back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, top down, yeah, exactly. Interesting.
Too many holds. I had too many things going on. So I ended up doing the neck first because I was tired of all the holes, and then I'm doing the sleeves now.
Yeah, okay, that's good. Can you hold it here? Let me
Okay.
put you on. I'm trying to learn how to run these meetings properly, and I'm not doing a very good job. I'm kind of slow. Okay, I've got you spotlighted here, I think. So,
Okay.
oh, beautiful.
So I did the 5 inches, but then when I had too many holds, and I said, I'm not going to do the sleeves first. I'm going to do these 2. So I did the neck this morning. And now I'm working on the sleeves.
It's beautiful. Now this must not be your first time. I mean, obviously,
No.
yeah.
I'm doing it to help encourage someone else that's on the Zoom. But I don't
Oh,
see
that's
any
awesome.
picture.
That's fantastic. Oh no, it looks beautiful. It's
And I
gorgeous.
had this pattern so it was on my list. So I was like, yes, I'll go. I'll do it.
Oh, I remember you telling us that. Yeah, I remember you writing it.
Yeah, I had the question about the whole how to measure this, and I got answered from somebody else that I know that I do another Zoom call with, and she told me to mark. So whenever you get to that part, make sure you mark like over in here where you stop and you start to add this,
Mhm.
so
And then
that you
you
can
measure
measure the
straight up?
7 inches or whatever your inches up to the top. Because that's what I was like, okay, do you measure along here?
No.
Hold
Okay.
this out, or do you measure straight? So she gave me the tip to make sure you mark what row
Your
you're
last row where you start
Yeah.
to decrease.
and then measure from like the center
Mhm.
up. So
And
I
another
found
thing,
out that on mine, the armhole, and I'm really short-waisted, but the armhole is not big enough according, with
yeah,
what the
this
pattern
fits
says,
me.
it's
Like
not
I
big enough.
can this fits me.
Good.
Yeah. It's perfect. It's not big. Sizes.
Okay.
another thing you can do is lay it out flat and put just like a ruler or a piece of paper down, even with the
Mhm.
armhole in, and then go in and
Up.
measure straight up. I mean, that if you've forgotten to mark it, but marking it's great because then the absolute row. It's no guessing.
I just wasn't sure if you measured along the curve or if you measured
Yeah.
straight. That was my
Because if you measure along the curve, it's going to be skewed. Because excellent. Okay. Well, it seems like people are mostly in and good to go. Let me double check. All right. Wow, a good second showing. Thank you so much, all of you, for showing up on a Saturday afternoon and knitting with us. So, okay, that was one question. And Lorraine, I may ask you again, since you're so far along, can you tell us how you dealt with the putting things on because when you knit it, as the pattern says, it's easy to take that live stitch.
Mhm.
And so you need to remove that live stitch and take the last, what does it say, the last 80 or, the last so many stitches worked on hold, but you don't put that live stitch on hold. Is that how you did it?
Yes.
Yeah. So Rachel?
Yeah, can you repeat? So that's where I am. So I have so I'm supposed to put the last half stitches right on hold, but my live stitch is there. So I guess I need to move that live stitch over. Do I knit then? Do I knit one stitch? No.
No, just move it over.
Just move it over.
But how do I move it?
It just stays there.
I mean, I suppose you can knit it and move it over. Just get it so that your live stitch is on one side And then from here on back, everything that you carry is, do
Oh,
you see what I'm saying?
okay. Okay, so I guess I just hold the light stitch with my other hand, and then I just, like, let's say my left hand, and I put the stitches with my right hand. Okay, I'm gonna try that. And then it's a bit like cable knitting, I guess. It's gonna be like a little weird for the first couple stitches, and then it's gonna be fine.
How will it be
suppose.
like cable? I'm not sure.
Okay, well, okay, I'm gonna try that now.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, let me show you something else though, because I know last week we talked about, let's switch cameras. I have to say right now, I have to confess, you know, I if anyone wasn't here or didn't watch, I've used this as, oops, here comes Kitty. Excuse me. I used this project as a way to teach myself how to knit right-handed and to knit right-handed continental, because I have been a lifelong left-handed thrower. And I wanted to be able to show things to you, ladies and gentlemen, if any should join or are joined. But here is, and we talked about how to hold things, how to use our interchangeable cables to put stitches on to hold. So that's what I've done here. Most of you should know that. So that's what I've done here. Here, let me see. Okay. So right here we have an extra cable that I have from my set, and I've just put the little caps on it on the end, and I've put all of the back stitches on that long cable. Now, here's another little notion that I used for the front, these short ones, this one that's the other shoulder, and this one that's the middle neck. I just use these little, can you see this? This is just a cable. Let me see, maybe if I move the camera up a little bit, you can see better. This is just a cable that it's very inexpensive. I probably paid $5 or $6 for this on Amazon. It's a clover item, and you just pick up the stitches with this needle end of the cable, and then it has this stopper on the other end, and you can put it in there, and you've got something that will hold your stitches that's much shorter. I mean, there's lots of different ways, but just thought that I would share that way if anybody was interested. What has everyone else done? Have they used yarn or?
Yarn.
Yarn, yeah. And that works out wonderfully as well. Okay, let's see. Oh, Alexis isn't there yet. Okay, well, soon you will be.
Yeah, I'm not there yet.
Yeah. So, okay, so we answered that question. What other issues has anyone run into, that questions or fun things? Oh, is everyone happy with the size they chose? That's a good question.
I am, but I'm worried about how much I should decrease. Would it be okay not to do all of the decrease
Yes.
rows?
Wait, there are decrease rows? I'm not there yet, so I'm just like, where are they?
So why, okay, Martha Ann, I see your comment, and we'll answer your question next. So what do you mean, why would you not want to do all of the decrease rows, I guess?
I'm afraid that the chest is going to be too tight.
Okay,
It's
so,
Laura. I'm the one.
oh, there you are. I'm so sorry.
I saw you scanning around.
I know. Here we go. I'm trying to do this I'm trying to think this time about the people watching it afterwards and trying to make it so that they can see things better, but I'm still clumsy with all this. So thanks for being patient. Anyway, so the bust fits wonderfully and you like how it fits, but you're afraid that the little bit of decreasing is going to make it too small.
Yes, it doesn't quite fit yet. I want to decrease a little bit, but I don't know that I want to decrease 10 stitches.
Okay.
So would it be okay not to do that as I try it on? If it fits after 3 decreased rows, can I just stop and just do the stockinette to the
Yes.
top?
And then go up
Okay.
straighter. The worst thing you do is end up with a wider, a wider, it wouldn't come down so far on the neck or whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind then.
Yeah. Is this your first time doing a sweater?
Oh, yeah,
Oh, it is. Okay.
absolutely. Yes.
So the reason I ask is because you're thinking very outside the box and very logically and great. I mean, you're doing a good job.
I really want this to fit well, so I'm thinking a lot through before I do it.
Yeah. Good for you. May we see where you're at?
Let's see. Okay, I got that much done.
Lovely. Oh, you're the one of the ladies who did a shorter rib.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes. And then I
See,
got
no-
stuck. I got stuck at the divide, but I went on the Facebook group and a lot of girls helped me with that. So I moved on and now I'm decreasing, but I'm just watching that really closely to make sure I don't make it too tight up in the bust.
Yeah, and remember though, that when you'll finish it, you're going to have a couple more inches of knitting, for the neck and the sleeve. You know what I mean? It's going to make it bigger through there because your neck is going to be knitted up and your the ribbing that you put on
Right, okay.
is going to make it bigger. So I would say, don't make it too big because otherwise it may look out of proportion when you start adding those, I don't know, it's what, 1.5 inches? How much do they tell you to knit for the neckband?
Yeah, about an 1 3/4 inches.
Oh, 1 inch. See, that's quite a bit. So that means 3.5 inches you're going to be adding to this area here. That's a lot.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So don't overcompensate.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have to leave, but I just wanted to, mine's done, except for the one last end knitting in, but it's all done.
Oh, lovely, lovely, lovely. How do you like how it's fitting?
It's great. I started with a medium around the bottom, which I'm really glad I did because my hips are wider than my shoulders. So I started with the medium around the bottom and then I decreased down to a small for the top.
Okay, that's wonderful. And when you just kept decreasing, when did you decrease, or you just didn't?
In the
increase?
usual where it said to decrease.
Oh, really? You just when it came up to the armholes.
Yeah.
You started
No, in the
decreasing.
body. In the body. It's
Oh, in the body.
decreasing before the armholes.
Okay. Okay.
I'm really confused. I'm sorry. Where does it have you decrease other than the armholes?
In the arm side,
In what?
in the arm side, once you've gone up, you've finished up and get ready to divide it, then you bind off so many stitches. Next couple of rows, you start to decrease every so often on the
Right.
side part of the arm sleeve.
Yeah.
So
Actually,
that's
in the body, all you do is increase. You have some increase
Okay.
rounds at the bottom. You don't actually decrease in the body.
Decrease in the upper part of the body.
Because
Yeah.
that made me very nervous because I'm very large busted. So I'm like, if it decreases up there, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
It's sort of
no.
above your where your bust would be.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, that's fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank
Yeah, on
you.
the increase rounds, I didn't make all the increases.
Got it.
because I wanted to go down to a small.
Yeah, yeah. And that makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's perfect. See, I'm so glad to see all of you doing things like this, doing these modifications and all, because it's just really it shows that, you know, we aren't all cookie cutter and we need to do adjustments here or there, and it's possible to do so. How many of you ladies sew also? Anybody sew? Yeah, it's so much, you know, in sewing, you can just kind of take a stitch in, or, you know, take a seam in, or cut it differently. And so knitting, you actually have to think about it ahead of time and either make things larger or smaller according, you know, stitch by stitch. So
Sorry, my oven's going off, but have a good knitting time.
oh, thank you so much for
Okay.
showing us. It's
Okay.
very inspiring. Thank you, Susie.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye.
So then let me look. Okay, Geneva's at the divide. Okay, but somebody else asked above. Let's see. Oh, okay. Juanita says if you don't do all the decreases, you won't match up with the right number of stitches at the
On the front
shoulder,
and
but
back.
you can still adjust that.
Right.
Yeah, you can adjust once you get there. Okay. I know that you said you chose the small size because you didn't like too baggy. Am I happy with the small? Okay. What does everyone say to that? Are you happy with the size you chose?
I should be between a medium and a large, and I chose the small. And so far, so good.
Okay.
I'm
Excellent.
just hoping that I can keep the chest at the right dimensions.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see how it turns out, because I think just remember what you're knitting on now isn't all the fabric that will be there. Yeah. Okay, this one, the next one, I made my first section a little longer than the 15 inches in the pattern. Oh yeah, that's just fine. Is that okay? Absolutely. Yep. I'm the same. I made mine probably an inch longer. I'm 5'9" with a long waist. Absolutely, Cheryl. Perfect.
Okay.
Well done. Started a bit late, so just finished the bottom ribbing, but it seems to be smaller than expected. Lorraine is keeping me going. Oh. Well, I can tell you about in fact, I can more than tell you, I can absolutely show you the difference in sizes. So let me for a second, or the difference in knitting, how that affects the size. That's why it's so difficult. Like, I think I said this last time, and then let me spotlight this one. As I said before, I'm learning how to knit right-handed with Continental. So I started at the bottom and I got better as I went. Things were going really well. And then I got sick this week and I knew that I wasn't going to be able to get things up to where I needed to be for our class today or our knit along today. And so I thought, well, I'm just going back and forth. I'm going to knit left-handed so that I can do it, you know, quicker, because I'm so slow doing it learning right-handed Continental. And so look at the difference. Right up to here is Continental. All this is Continental. And this is my regular knitting. I mean, I'm going to have to rip the whole thing out because obviously it's a completely different gauge. So this is part of the reason why sizing is so tricky, because when someone says, I measure this, what size should I purchase? There are so many factors that go into it. I'm a loose left-handed knitter. I've always known that. And I guess that's one reason why I chose the small, is because I knew that I was, that's my usual thing to do. I didn't want it too baggy. But I knit so much tighter as I'm learning, and probably because I'm tense and not good at it yet, that look at the difference in my gauge. It's just unreal. So when you say, is it going to be too small? Is it going to be too big? You've got to swatch, obviously, in the beginning, and go from what from the measurement that you get when you create your swatch of fabric. And you're going to make mistakes, there will be times when you will make a sweater, it'll be the wrong size, and it could be I'll rip this out and do it back up knitting right-handed, and I may have a problem. It may be too small. Donna added 2 inches. Yeah, it's never a problem to add 2 inches. That's why I think I mentioned last week, you always swatch and gauge for the width, and for the length you can always do less or more, just in general. How do I get on the Facebook group? Just go to, I just put the link to the Facebook group in the chat there at the bottom, and just fill out the little questionnaire real quickly, and then I will put you in. In fact, I'll do that right after I get off today. Okay. I'm at the divide. Geneva is at the divide and stuck and confused about the next section. Can we talk about that part? And she's got 2 likes. So Geneva, where are you, my dear?
I'm here.
Okay, I'm looking. There's so many of us. I'd like to put you on spotlight while you're talking, but where are you?
You need me to talk?
There's Brenda.
Do it have my name on it?
You must be on the second page, huh? Oh, there you are. There you are.
See me?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
There you are. Oops, I don't want to be on here too. Okay, there you are. Okay, so let me see. Tell me what's going on.
Okay, I did the divide. I divided my 80 front and back. And then it says to begin to work in rows. And I see the begin with right side row, bind off 3 stitches at the beginning of the next 2 rows.
Mhm.
But then I'm confused. What next 2 rows?
Oh, that bind off 3 stitches off the right side row, and then the next row is a decrease. Oh, let's see, begin with the right side row. And then the next row, yeah, the wrong side is always purl. And it doesn't say it. I didn't notice that before, but it doesn't put it up there under the shape armholes. But you'll do a right side row. And so you'll bind off 3 stitches on the right side row. You'll flip it. It'll be a wrong side row, which will be all purl. And you'll bind off 3 stitches at the beginning of that row.
Okay.
I have a question with that. Can you hear me?
Just barely,
This is Martha Ann. I'm sorry. This is Martha Ann. Can you hear me?
just barely.
I'm
Can you turn
sorry.
yourself up?
I'll try. Um, I'm not
Because
sure
I
if
have
it's
80
in.
stitches, but if I take 3 off, it says I'm gonna have. Never mind, never mind.
Yeah, you'll take 6 off of those first 2 rows, and then
Yeah.
you'll start the quotes decrease. They didn't really call the bind off a decrease. That you're just binding off, and then now you start the decreases, and you'll decrease 2 stitches every right side row.
If you have 80, then you'll have 74,
Right.
which it says
Okay.
on there. Yeah.
And then you'll do that 5 more times. So does
Okay.
that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense now.
Okay. Okay. And then Martha.
Don't do the
Ann-
bind off.
Pardon?
Don't do the bind off 5 times. Only do the decreasing row.
Right. Just do the bind off on those first 2
Yeah.
rows. That's all. Just the first 2 rows. And then Martha Ann, can you try again and see if we can hear you better?
I don't know that you can hear me any better than you could before.
Okay, I'm going to turn you up.
Sorry.
I'm going to turn you up really loud. Okay, what was your question?
Well, my question was, so the bind off is for the decrease row, right side,
No,
and then you purl the next row?
no, the bind off is not for the decrease row. Do you see how it says begin with a right side row, bind off on that row, and then bind off the first 3 stitches of the next row, which is a purl row. Then you start decrease row.
Gotcha. Okay, perfect. That was.
I mean,
what
it's kind of
was gonna be.
semantics, but I just wanted to make sure you were in the same place. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
That's not how I did it.
How did you did it?
I bound off the 3 and then decreased, and then on the right side, then I bound off 3 more on the purl side. I didn't look at the bind off as 2 separate rows from beginning to decrease. Does that
Yeah.
make
It'll be
sense?
okay. You'll
It'll
be
be
one row
okay?
shorter.
Okay. Okay, good. Well, it's too late now. I'm already into it, so I'm going to do it.
Yeah. I think this sweater is somewhat forgiving, so.
Pamela, I have a question. So that's where I'm exactly where Geneva was talking. And when I did my bind off for the purl side, I actually did it knitwise. I bound off my stitches, but knitwise, and then I started doing my purl. Is that okay?
Patterns never say to do it that way. Patterns always say to bind off at the beginning of one row and then at the beginning of the next row. That's
Yeah, that's what I did. So at the beginning of the purl row, so when at the beginning of purl row, I bound off but knitwise, not purlwise. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah, it's probably okay. And I'll tell you why is because you're going to be picking up stitches around that and knitting the
Okay.
rib, so it won't show.
Right.
I mean, technically that's not quite right, but it won't show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hi,
So
Pamela.
next time I should do purl.
Yeah, you can bind off purl just as easily.
Hey, Pamela, this is Karen. When they're talking about finding the right place, you're gonna have to rip everything out to start over and find that place to get back as far as doing the sleeves. Have you shown anyone how to put a lifeline in where you thread it through partway up so that you've got a place that you can go back to save those stitches so you don't have to do anything and be able to not lose stitches, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
We're probably not going to go into this, and I mean, we can, maybe next time we can go into that. This yarn is so large, and the stitch, everything is so big that I mean, certainly to me, it's just not an issue. Pulling it back and picking up the stitches, but yeah, maybe next week we can go into that. Is that something you do even on larger yarn and lifelines? I guess I use more in lace, and something that there's no way, with a lot of yarn overs, and there's no way that I could pick it up again properly. This is just stockinette. It's so easy to pick up.
It is easy to pick up a stockinette, you're right. But if somebody is not used to doing it, it can be really frustrating because you get to that point,
Yeah, that's
having
true.
a crochet hook to pick it up, because you might miss one stitch, even if it's a large yarn, you can miss it, and then that can really throw you off.
Yeah,
And
that's
you don't want
true.
to make a mistake. So it's just a suggestion. I mean, I haven't really had that problem with yarn in doing that. I've never really put the lifeline in, but I know other teachers that have taught knitting, they do recommend it because it saves you a little bit if you do something and all of a sudden you're knitting along and you realize, okay, something's gone wrong here. Now, if I had to put a lifeline in, maybe I wouldn't
Yeah.
have had to go back out quite so far.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. If anybody doesn't know what she's talking about, a lifeline is when, here, you can do it a couple of different ways, but if you have interchangeable needles, let's see if I can get this to show properly. Let's see. Do you see that? Let's see if it'll, shoot, it's not. Oh, there. You see right here, there's a little hole at the base of, just a little hole at the base of my interchangeable needles. And what you do is you take a small thread, like some kind of embroidery floss I like to use, something that will, or some tiny lace weight yarn that will fit through that hole. And if I thread that through the hole, and it has a long tail on it, and I start knitting, then as I knit, it will pull that piece of thread all the way through this row that I'm knitting on.
Oh.
And then I just keep knitting, and I just leave that thread, and it'll be all through these stitches. So I could rip it back to that point. Say then I knit another several inches, I could rip it back to that point, and it wouldn't rip back any farther. It would keep, it would in effect, then you'd have it holding them like this. You'd have a thread going through like this, like this cable that I have going through. It would be a thread going through, and then it's very easy to just boop, 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 pick up your stitches. And another good thing about that is if you're not knowledgeable yet about what a twisted stitch looks like, then all the stitches are going the right direction, because as you're knitting that you need to if you twist a stitch in picking it up, which is very easily done, it will affect how your fabric looks. So this also keeps the stitches all in one direction. And knitting lace, you will absolutely, it's absolutely imperative, because you have all these yarn overs that you would never be able to pick up correctly in lace. So and we can talk about that more if you
This is the best trick ever, Pamela, and I did not know what these O's were for. So
yeah, that's what
Rachel,
those holes are for. Yeah,
this is great. Thanks,
Yeah.
whoever asked the question.
Absolutely. And if you don't have the needles, the interchangeable needles that have a hole in the base that makes it easy, you can you can just take a tapestry needle and thread them, you know, you get done with a row and then just thread a thin needle through with a thin piece of thread, and then you'll have the lifeline. So it's not only if you have interchangeable needles, you can still do it anyway. So let's get back to our questions. We have lots of questions. Okay, I find that when I'm picking up stitches for the armhole knitting, I don't come up with the exact number of stitches it calls for. Is it okay if I just go for an even number? Okay, my question to you, Donna, is do you pick up a stitch in every stitch? Are you picking up a stitch? Are you picking up evenly? In other words, stitch for stitch?
Probably been my problem in that I end up with like 2 more or 3 more.
Right. You don't have to pick up a stitch for every stitch that's available to be picked up.
Okay.
Yeah. Just whenever, however many stitches that it says you should have, that's how many stitches you want to have. And don't skip 2 or 3 at a time, you know, just skip 1 here, 1 there, maybe do it evenly throughout the picking up, but it doesn't have to be exact.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you.
Pam, I have a question along those lines too, if I can.
Absolutely, you may.
Thank you, Belinda. So I was gonna say I'll pin. Okay. Hi. So so I'm up to also the part with picking up stitches for the armholes.
Mhm.
And I'm doing the medium, and it says I should pick up 72, but I count about 70. Does it really matter? Can I just put in one, like, I can just evenly make it 70, or it doesn't matter, right?
No.
Yeah. And so can I just show you, because I've never done this before and I think I get it, but I just want to show you. Okay, so on my edge, can you see?
Mhm.
Okay, so on my edge, I have a V here, and then I have a V kind of at the end.
That's your selvage V.
I'm not going into this V. I'm kind of going into the next to last stitch on the edge and the next one, like that.
Can you hold it up just a little bit farther so I can? Okay. What you don't want to do you see, turn it so that we can see. Do you see how there's big gaps on one of the sections has big gaps? I mean, there's nothing wrong with what you've done, but do you see how there's
Here?
yeah. You
Yeah.
definitely don't want to pick up into those.
No.
Yeah,
But I
yeah,
want to go closer to the edge,
Right.
like here.
Right, yes, but don't pick up just the selvage. That first V is the selvage of the.
I want to pick up like a V like this, not the edge here,
Right,
but the next one and the next one like that.
right, yeah. I have something here that I think maybe that will help you. Hold on 1 second.
Like I watched a video and I think that's what I understand, that you're not going into the last V, but like the V
Yes.
right next to that. Yeah.
Yes. So here, this is what I used when we did our Eli capelet. I used this. And so what you're talking about is this V here. That's
Yeah.
the selvage V.
Okay. Right.
So to be honest, on this right here, I would pick up the selvage V. I wouldn't go in any farther, but that doesn't mean that you're supposed to do that. Let's look and see what it looks like here to see if I have.
Yeah.
Here, let me pull the light down so that. So here is the edge, the selvage edge.
Right.
And then.
That's where you'd go in.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah.
get it. So it's not, it's like if I'm looking at it, I see threads. I'm not going to go into the last two threads on the very edge. I'm going to go to the second and the third thread in.
Yes, so it will be in the middle of, it will be in between the two V's technically.
Yes, okay, get it.
And
Yeah,
the-
and I know I have some gaps, but I don't really care because it's the first time I ever did something like this, so whatever. No one's gonna
Yeah.
see it.
Mm,
I
ex-
just, yeah,
You're going to
Okay.
be absolutely fine, like
yeah, but I
this.
understand I don't want to make those gaps worse.
Yeah, in this, it doesn't really have gaps, but if you're going along and you've got something where, let's see, I think I have gaps over here.
Yeah,
See, like there. I mean, that may be fine here, but if I were to do the same place here
yeah,
and then here, I might not. Maybe I would do this one, but I definitely wouldn't do this one because it's so big. So you
Yeah.
know what I do?
Yeah.
I would just skip from here to here. I would pull up thread here and then, you know, probably will need to, I didn't do the count yet, but probably will have too many to go
Right.
around. Does that make sense? And like we were talking about a minute ago. And so I would use that as one of my skips because I
Okay.
wouldn't want to go into that.
yeah.
That really,
All right, I think I got it. Thank you.
absolutely. Let's see, let's read some more before we go on. 5-2 in short ways to the going to keep going. You'll probably be just fine, but keep measuring. And you can also, if you have a nice long cable, you can put these caps like this on the, you know, take your needles off, put the caps on and let it stretch way out and make it large enough to be able to slip it on and see. Okay, here we go. Another size question. I'm making medium. Hip measurement is 46, but full bust is 42. I'm believing the medium will work. Yeah, Merritt, I'm agreeing with you. I think you'll be fine. Was your gauge pretty well on?
It was using a size 8.
Okay. I think you'll be
yes.
fine.
At least the stitch gauge, the road gauge is a little bit off, you know, but I can adjust that. That's not an issue to make the adjustment. So
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah, but I'm finding that this particular yarn it has no stretch in it like a wool, okay, because you know it's a cotton base, so there's no real stretch in the yarn itself. But when you knit it, it's going to be able to stretch out a little bit when you wear the garment.
Well, that's a huge problem with cotton. I say problem, that's an issue with cotton is bagging out. So
Yes.
just because the yarn itself doesn't have stretch in it, you're going to have ease after you block it and start wearing it. There will be ease.
Yeah,
I don't know
that's
where
what
it
I
comes
thought.
from, but it'll be there.
Yeah, because when I was looking at the large, I thought, gosh, they're saying the measurement's 50 plus 50 and a half. And I'm going, that's a little bit too big in the
Yeah.
bust area. And I thought, no, we don't want to do that. So
Absolutely. Swatch with the same needles was different. Alexis says it's different than her gauge now. That happens, Alexis, because of what I just showed you, and that is you can knit differently at different times, you know, tighter, looser, whatever. So that is an issue.
And knitting it around versus knitting flat.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that. Thanks for bringing that up. When you swatch for knitting in the round, when you swatch to do a knitting in the round sweater, then make sure you swatch in the round. You know, that's something we could have covered. Let me make a little note so that I realize it's a little late, but I want you all to get that tip out of it for next time that you do it. Yeah. Okay, Continental is great. You're not seeing the Facebook page link. Let me put it in again. It's a Facebook group, and there it is. I just put it down at the bottom. Oh, wait, no, here. Oh, the reason you're not seeing it is because it didn't send to everybody. It defaulted. Sorry. There you go. Now you can see it. Oh, there I see Sherry told me. Thank you, Sherry. Okay. I've not started yet. Is it possible to buy the pattern and use yarn and stash? Absolutely. Get the pattern on Ravelry. It's not my pattern to sell. It's the people who make the yarn. It's their pattern. So absolutely do that. You can find it on Ravelry. Okay, that's already taken care of. I have a question. Belinda. Have we answered your question yet?
Yes,
We did.
that was my question. Yep. Thank
Okay,
you.
cool. All right. You need to knit a stitch before binding off 3. No, you don't want to, Adrienne. You don't want to knit a stitch before binding off 3 because you're going to have a stitch and then 3 bound off and then another stitch. And I don't think you want that. You're going to want everything bound off to a certain point. Does that make sense? I'm looking for Adrienne. Adrienne. Maybe she's left.
Pamela, she could be looking at the idea that when you bind off, you just knit or purl that first stitch, then you do another stitch and pass the first one over.
Oh.
So that looks like you've knit a stitch, but you haven't. But
okay, got it. Yes. That's what she's talking about. Yeah, you have to.
You've been watching videos.
Yeah. You have to knit 2 stitches and then put the first stitch over. Exactly. Okay. All right. Looks like it wasn't an issue because I don't see her there. Are these blush? Yes, they're blush likies. Oh, I love them. Okay, so Sherry has utilized the Lifeline at every change of the pattern. Okay. Oh, that's great. And she uses the darning needle and threading through. Oh, dental floss. Yeah, that I didn't mention that. That's another thing you can use. Yeah. Absolutely. Blocking. Can you tell a little bit about blocking? Does this need to be blocked after every washing? We'll talk more about blocking next week because I assume we'll all be done or close to done by next week. So we'll talk about that more. And does it have to be blocked after every washing? Yes. I would say so. I always block everything. I will say I'm not sure about cotton, but I'm afraid cotton, if you didn't block it, it would stretch too much and it would just be huge if you just washed it and didn't block it. So let's talk more about that next week. In fact, between now and then, I'll maybe make some swatches and see what happens, wash them and see what happens so that we can talk about it more. Alexis swatched in the round. That's cool. Oh, when joining a new skein. That's right. I was going to show you how to do that today. Okay, that's what I'll show you next. Isn't it more like reshaping than blocking? Well, yeah. Call it what you want, but it's getting it all put together. Okay, let me show you what so the first time I came to change my to add a new skein, and I did the magic knot just because I don't know, I was in a hurry, even though I knew that I wasn't going to be happy with it, and I wasn't happy with it. It worked fine, but let's see if I can find it here. See if I can find it to show you what it does. Oh, here it is, right here. So can we see? Yeah, it's just left this little nub. I don't know if you can see it very well. Kind of a hard little nub. And it took me a while to get it worked to the back, and technically it can work its way out through the stitches. I don't know, this doesn't look like it will, but I wasn't happy with it. I don't like that lump. So shoot, I forgot to prepare. Let me just cut this. So we're gonna cut it and we're gonna reattach it. And I'm sorry, I'm going to knit left-handed, but this shouldn't matter for you. What happened to them? There, okay. So this is called, oh shoot, and now I forgot what it's called. It's called, well, it's called a really neat way to start a new, I'll find the name of it in a minute. So here's my end. I need to put on a new skein of yarn. So I make a little U with the yarn here. Then I put the yarn through the new skein through, and I make another little U. And so I have this held here.
It's the Russian join.
No, this isn't the Russian join, at least not how I was taught it. The Russian join is different, which I like that one too. And that could be used for this as well. But hang on to it. And just hang on to everything and start knitting. And knit maybe 4 or 5 stitches double, and you'll see every stitch has 2, right?
Okay, yeah.
And then you can let it go and keep going. And anyway, let me just go back. I'm taking all of this out anyhow. And then we knit back, and make sure when you knit back that you're knitting both of those stitches or both of those threads. They're not 2 stitches, but knit both of the threads.
Does it make it bulky though on that line? Like, does it make it obvious or no?
No, I'll show you what it does in a second here. It's got a little hitch here. Now you can see, and then you can just snip this off. Okay, I'll show you where I did it down here, and you'll see that it's undetectable, and I loved it. Let's see, where is it? Here it is, right here. Now you can see it slightly from the back. Oh, the camera's goofing. Okay, you can see it slightly from the back here. I'm going to just snip these 2 off. I left them so that you could see, but you'll see here on the front that it's perfect.
I recently started doing this, and I believe it's called the clasped weft join.
It is. It is.
And it's no different. The doubling it up is no different than having to weave in your ends anyway.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I
Now,
think that's a great join.
Yeah, I was really happy with this because I'm in love with the spit splice. I don't know if you've ever seen, I've made a couple little videos of doing the spit splice with anything animal, any natural fibers, wool, you know, anything that's wool. You get the 2 ends that you're going to use, you get them damp, and then you put them in between your hands like this, and you just felt them in essence together, and you just keep knitting, and it's like nothing. It's perfect. I absolutely adore it. But oh, my camera's wigging out. But but you can't do that with cotton. And so I was really happy to find this way. I didn't use that
Thank
method.
you.
Yes, you're welcome. I didn't use the method to join skeins. Do you have any suggestions for weaving in the ends? Just follow the knitting, follow the stitches, you know. So do you know what I'm saying, Karen? It's a clasped weft join, Allison. Clasped weft join, yeah.
Harder to say than to do.
I know. That's probably why I couldn't think of it. I thought weft something, but I couldn't remember the first word, so thank you. Clasped weft join. Anyway, and then as far as weaving in ends, I would try to do it naturally. If you're doing it above, try to change on the edges of your row. You know, if you're not doing it, if you're not knitting in the round, if it's on this part of your sweater, try changing at the end of a row. That way you'll just knit across and knit your ribbing and it won't show. But if you're in the middle of knitting in the round, just weave it in according to how, you know, up and down according to the backs of the purl. You know how the stitches go like this. Just mimic the stitches so that it doesn't leave an obvious obvious lump or an obvious streak down it. Oh, bye, Merritt. Happy knitting. Thanks so much for joining. What time is it? Oh, we're right on time. Okay, let's put everybody back on gallery view. And so how does everybody feel? How's it looking? Hold up your projects. So proud of all of you for trying to do something new. Oh my God. Oh, that's beautiful. Alexis, what color did you get?
I went stash diving, so I had I had all of these, but I had a dark brown and orange and pink, and then I'm gonna go into green after this and then blue.
Oh, okay. Okay. Very nice. Very nice.
So I don't remember what the colors were actually called, and I think they're probably still making the same ones. They're probably easy to find, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's beautiful,
So,
beautiful. How
thank
about,
you.
yes, yes. How about everybody else? Gorge, gorge, gorge. Yes, yes, yes. Love that color. It's going to look beautiful on you. Oh, I think you have that. Yeah. Roxanne, I like that. Oh, Sherry has the same one. Excellent. And Juanita, you also have the same one. Yeah. Nice. Really nice. Look at that. Nice. You know, I've been knitting for 50 some years, a lot of years. And it's like magic to me. What we can do stitch by stitch. I mean, there's probably some deep life lesson in it all, how we put our lives together day in and day out, just one at a time, or even minute in, minute out. And next thing you know, look what we've created. And it never ceases to excite me, to make me happy, and really kind of to amaze me about what we can do. And if we make a mistake, like I did here, just take it out. No big deal, you know? Look at that different engage. Can you believe it?
I leave my mistakes.
Well, if they're, yeah.
I mean, little ones.
Yeah.
Twisted stitch every once in a while. It's my trademark. That's what I say.
I totally agree with you, Lorraine. If it's not something that's going to glare, is it worth 6 hours? Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Any other questions? Oh, hi, Kathy. Oh, good. I'm glad you learned some new tricks. I'm so glad you're there. You're here and there. Everywhere, all at once. What was the name of the movie? Everything, everywhere, all at once. Okay. Well, if you don't have any more questions, maybe we'll just close for today. And then next time in 2 weeks, we'll hopefully have things done. I want to talk about swatching in the round, just so that we cover that and you ladies can see how to do it. I know, a lot of you probably already know how. It's nothing difficult, but it does make a difference. Knitting stockinette in the round and always knitting in the round is totally different than knitting one row and purling another row and knitting one row. We just hold our yarn differently, and it ends up just slightly different. And blocking, we'll talk about blocking. So swatching in the round and blocking next week. Anything else that you ladies want to learn next week that you know of right now? Nope. Okay, well, we'll just wing it. And anybody who wants to join the Facebook group, go ahead and do that. There's a free pattern for joining. It comes in an email afterwards, so make sure you look for that email because sometimes they go to spam. And I can't think of anything else.
Sorry, Pamela, nothing to do with the course, but do you have a date for the beachcomber yarn? To make the hat and the
No, I give them the order and it takes them
Okay.
4 to 6 weeks and I never know when. They hand
Okay.
dye everything and
Yeah. Okay, so
I'm at
maybe
their
a month or
mercy.
so.
You're still on
Well,
the
yeah, no,
list.
that's fine. Okay,
Yeah,
that
okay.
sounds good. Thank you.
For sure. All right. Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much
Bye-bye. Thank you.
for joining us. Have a great weekend and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.